Alright then, hello everyone and welcome to round 13 of the NEF1 Esports Championship here in Season 9, and we have 6 races to go this season before we embark on a new game in F1 25, but still 6 Grand Prix remaining, and we're starting off with Portugal, one of the best tracks in this game on the F1 calendar and on F1 24, and it's going to be an absolute pleasure to see what the drivers can deliver around this track, which is incredibly tricky coming up to the end of Sector 1 for sure. That sweeping left-hander onto the second DRS straight, or onto the first DRS straight on the new lap. Proper tricky indeed, and also turn 9, the uphill right-hander is going to catch a driver or two out this session. I can promise you that. Already cars out on track, Sam Obama, Matty Adam heading straight out there. Matty, the winner of the inaugural Portuguese Grand Prix back in Season 1, if I'm not mistaken. Back in his Williams days. Now in the Aston Martin, same power unit. Can he deliver his first win of the season? It was his first win in any F1 and of the season back then, so that would be a nice bit of symbolism if you could pull it off. Mr. Wilco accompanying this season. It was Patrang 900 back in those days, if I'm not mistaken. Please correct me if I am. I'm sure Matty will have a better idea of it than I do. Only 14 people on the lobby tonight, unfortunately. We had a couple of people away with issues having to be dealt with. Hopefully we'll be back to better numbers next week out. But then, a bit of a smaller lobby for a track that could prove to be a bit chaotic. It'll be interesting to see what this track throws at us. There's a lot of blind corners around this place, and these heavy braking zones going up the hills, and basically there are braking in a non-straight line as well. Gonna be tricky for people running without what should be said, without ABS. Squidge 2017 in a Mercedes tonight, unfortunately. Make no mistake about it, he should be in that Williams. He had connection issues earlier, so what has happened is he's most likely just been thrown into any car on the grid. He'll be scoring points for Williams and racing for Williams through this weekend. Being in that Mercedes is going to be confusing enough for him, having to deal with a completely different car and sound and everything. So then, Squidge 2017 in the Mercedes, but will be driving for Williams for this Grand Prix. Noah as well, I appreciate the comment, but saying screw EA anti-cheat is probably not the best comment to just drop out of context. As here we go, Squidge 2017 is embarking on his lap. Djokovic has already started his. He's heading down into the first heavy braking zone on lap, past the first DRS zone. And now then, this is coming up to the corner I was speaking about earlier. This is going to catch a lot of people out. Uphill braking into the sweeping right-hander is very hard on the traction here, but should be a bit easier on this game with a bit more downforce, and especially on F1 22, but on 23 as well. Sam Obama's at 117.636 is a fast lap around here, so expect quick lapse times throughout the board, as Matty's come across for an 18 flat. He's not had a best start through the session. So let's see what Djokovic's going to be able to deliver here. The track where he's done well at in the past, and Kids is 118.194. So then, final sweeping corner here for Djokovic, and a track with battery management could be a bit of an issue. We'll wait and see. And it goes fastest quite comfortably, 17.255. Where is our new Mercedes driver at in his first journey in Mercedes? He is now running through the final corner. And what is it going to be? Is it going to be good enough for P1? Yes, it is. It's a 16.881 for Squidge. Very, very good lap indeed. As for Tess, he's had his lap invalidated after having a little bit of an exertion off the track. iWatts, that is a sweet, sweet helmet, it must be said as well. Absolutely love that helmet design from him. Wish we could just get a proper good image of it. You can kind of see it there. That's a beautiful helmet design from iWatts. It's now heading into Sector 3 then. What a nice slowing track. I quite enjoy driving here, especially in the game where it first came up. I think it was F1 2021, wasn't it? An absolutely brilliant track back then, and still a brilliant track now. Jamar has made his way up to third place, 17.307, and Niwatts jumps up into sixth place, 17.951. Then we have Hybrid in the Ferrari, still reserving, so he's not a full-time Ferrari driver. Just reserving for him, scoring points for himself. Salpacas in her Haas in P12. Undercheck just coming across the line now, not quite good enough for P1, but it's a Williams 1-2, and keep that in mind. A 117 flat is good enough to beat out Djokovic by a little bit of time. And as for Tess, locking up into the left-hander now. Let's see what he's going to be able to do through Sector 2. And also a very, very nice black and purple helmet. So good helmet science across the board for the Red Bull team. Extra championship point. As here we go then, 52.981 through the second sector. Is that any good? I don't know. But Tess appears to just be struggling a little bit, maybe heading into the corner, so we'll wait and see what that final lap time turns into. Right now, I actually have no clue where this is going to end up. We'll wait and see as he's coming across the last corner now, just flat out. And yeah, it's not been a lap where he's even engaged a battery, I think, but it would have been an all... wouldn't have been a brilliant, I don't think. As Hybrid's now improving on his first sector by about a tenth and a half, we have a field spread of about 2 seconds, which is quite high at the moment, especially looking at the lobby size. So then, Hybrid improving on his second sector as well. So Matty having issues with his qualifying pace at the moment. 1.2 seconds off pole position right now. And he's mentioned that before, having issues with qualify pace. But right now, it's really beginning to show at the latter stages of this season. Racing very, very well. Multiple podiums this season, obviously. Just can't get that qualifying together. Starting every single race from quite far behind. Could he be up there fighting for regular wins if he started front? I will wait and see. It's going to be a completely new game next year as well. It's obviously going to change up quite a lot of things. As Darren Stalvan is on lap, 17.947 to improve on. As he's not going to be improving on this attempt, let me tell you that, as the Alpine of Wigan, I think that is, goes by. Yes, it is. So then, Undercheck is at the moment out on a lap. Is he just about to close that lap off? Yes, it is. And it's a lap that's good enough for pole position. 16.653 for Undercheck in that Williams, who took his first NEF1 win back last week out in Austria. It was a really, really close race as well. Went down to the final lap between Undercheck and Tess on that occasion. And now, the two are separated by 12 cars in between them. Squidge right now in P2, Djokovic in P3. If Tess has a poor weekend here, it'll be interesting to see how knit together that Williams team is. Squidge desperately needing the points to keep the championship, his championship hopes alive. Undercheck though will be one to make his way up that order. It'll be interesting to see what goes on a little bit later into this Grand Prix. As Tess now is on an outlap, so we'll be watching that with great interest as he does come across, but it'll be a couple of more sectors until then. As Wigan is into the first sector and Jamar has just started his second flying lap of this session, with about 9 minutes left to go. Yellow flags in sector 2, so Ferrari going slowly, which means it'll be Hybrid, probably just letting people go, and I think we can confirm that. Green flags all clear, back up to racing speed. That looks quite comfortable, that from Wigan, the entry into that sweeping right-hander. Nice and easy on the throttle on the way out as well. And this is a track where you solely rely off memory as well. You've got no visuals heading into a couple of these corners, depending on especially what camera angle you run. But it's such a memory-based track. As here we go, is Wigan going to have a lovely bit of slipstream maybe through that last corner, which you can just take flat out. I think it's going to be given a bit of a tow by Alpaca here, which I'm sure he won't mind. Alpaca's competition as well, the two are separated by 0.02 of a second. And Alpaca probably shouldn't have done that. It's a 2.5 improvement from William. Now Alpaca is free to go off on her second lap of this session. Tess has come across the line for his second go, which would be his first time on the board. .51.717 through the second sector, and this looking a bit more hooked up now. See what he's going to be able to muster out of the car through the last corner. Is it going to be good enough to challenge that 16.653 from Undercheck? Squidge is out on a lap, coming through sector 2 as we speak. What is it going to be for Tess? Is it going to be good enough? It's going to be close, but not quite close enough. 16.793 for Tess, sees him up at P2, but that's a good lap from the championship leader, and right now we could call him the champion-elect, but it's not quite set in stone yet, and it can't be for this race. If heaven's aligned for him, it could be next race if I'm not mistaken, but that's still a long way off, and Squidge is going to make damn sure it doesn't happen as well. Here we go then, coming around the final corner, needs to improve by about 0.2 of a second for that provisional P1. The Squidge usually quite good at finding time in these qualifying sessions, and he does. By 0.4 of a second he improves by and takes provisional P1 away by 0.2 of a second over teammate Ondrejek there. Djokovic comes into the pit lane, Jamar is into the pit lane, Samo then, what is he doing? I don't think he's improving in that sector 1, so we'll go on to iWatts. Validated lap, this isn't going too well at the moment, and Alpaca currently sitting in 10th. A couple attempts behind Wigan that she was battling closely when qualifying just a moment ago. Matty needs to be zoning out this qualifying pace. Currently outside the top 10 in 17.864 territory. Coming into the pit lane, man, he's going to have one more go at this. Needs to improve by, it's not a big margin, improve by 0.3 of a second. You're up to 6th. So that's quite close together. Hybrid having a difficult session as well. But small margins in the midfield. Squidge then on provisional P1 by 0.2 of a second. Kit has improved as well, worth pointing out to a 17.833, just a couple of hundreds slower than his teammate, and Darren Stiles in 13th for 17.947 for Darren. As I don't really know why you want to cross the line there and not into the pit lane, because that's going to compromise his session, unless he's staying out to do another lap on these tyres, which doesn't really make any sense, but he's recharging his battery. What is Darren Stiles' angle heading into this session? So now no competitive runnings ongoing on track, everyone just out on an in lap or in the pit lane. So nothing too interesting going on right now. As Matt is reporting, he's not feeling any trust whatsoever in that car, which probably explains why he's all the way down there in 12th place, Matty. Not real territory we're used to seeing him in. Now qualified by his teammate right now as well, by a 10th and a half. So Mr. Wilco looking better in qualifying here. Usually flips in race pace, but if Matty's not having any confidence car now, he's not going to be having the race either. If that's a setup issue with that car, it's going to be fundamentally difficult for him throughout this entire race. Could we see Matty finish outside the points here if it gets really bad? Right now he's involved in battle for the top 3 in the championship, and he's leading that battle for the top 3, but I think 2 points over Nasi if I'm not mistaken. So it's a golden opportunity to extend that gap a little bit. He's involved in that battle with Nasi and Djokovic, who is racing here tonight. Nasi is not. That is the competition Matty needs to be looking at right now, is Djokovic especially. And the bad news for Matty is Djokovic is not having any qualifying issues right now. He's up into 4th place. Still winless, if I'm not mistaken, though, is Djokovic this season, the 3-time champion and reigning NEF1 champion, for a couple of more races. But now, if I'm not mistaken, might be mathematically out of contention. So here we go then, now from no one being out to everyone being out. And absolutely everyone out on track here at the end of the session. This is going to be a good one to cover. 2 minutes remaining, everything is going to go down to the very last couple of minutes. So, now it's going to get a bit messy, but I'll try to cover everything as well as I can. Focus on the top 4 right now. Squid, Ondercheck, Tess and Djokovic, with a bit of a watchful eye on Matty as well. See if he can have a good lap to jump up the field. Darren's actually had a really good lap to jump up to 7th place, but what could that lap have been if on fresh tyres? Because that lap was on a set of very, very scrubbed tyres, if nothing else. As here comes Djokovic then, through the last corner for what is going to be his last run. Is he going to be able to punch up the order? Punches up to P3 as Tess is still in an outlap. 16.778. A good lap from Djokovic. What is he going to be able to do with it in the end? Is it going to be P3 or is he going to jump down the field a little bit with other people improving by him? Got a bit of a gap down to Jamar and Samo though, so Tess might be realistically the only competition, unless someone can have a mega lap. Looking at Matty 16 right now. As here's the favourite for pole position at the moment, leading the field by 0.2 of a second, but he's not improving in the first sector. Can he improve through the second sector? Squidge 2017 in that Mercedes for the race. Should be a Williams, remember that. Scoring points for Williams, but he's not improving in the second sector. Needs to have a mega third sector now to secure that. Ondrejek is not improving in the first sector one bit. Djokovic not on a lap. Tess, however, is improving. So could that be a story? Squidge at the moment is about to cross the line. I don't think he's going to be able to pull off any sort of improvement on this lap. Now he's coming into the pit lane. Squidge is done for the session. Ondrejek is coming into the pit lane. He is done for the... No, sorry, not Ondrejek. That was an Alpine of Djokovic coming into the pit lane. Ondrejek is... I don't think he's going to be improving on this lap either. Nah, he is coming into the pit lane. Here we go then. Tess, is he going to be able to improve up at P1? Or where is that Red Bull going to take him? He's not coming into the pit lane. He's going to gain a couple of places. He's going to gain 1 on Djokovic. He gets very close to Ondrejek, but doesn't get close enough. Now, Matty's about to come across the line. P8, so he does jump up the field, but a couple of people still with lap times to set. Wigan is not improving. Darren is not improving. Iwatts is improving by a couple of tenths of a second. Could he jump up the field with a strong performance here? Jamas qualified 5th, Samo 6th, Alpaca 7th, Matty in 8th, Hybrid in 9th at the moment. Iwatts, where is he going to place that second Red Bull? This is massive for the constructors as well, with Williams at the moment sitting on a 1-2. What is Iwatts going to do in the second Red Bull? It is going to be nothing less than 5th place from Iwatts. And oh, that is a brilliant lap from the British Jamaican driver. 17.23 now. Now qualifies Jamar, qualifies Samo Bamo, both of whom he's in a championship battle with for I think 8th or 7th place as well. So that is massive for Iwatts. Brilliant lap. Qualifies Jamar, Samo, Alpaca, Matty, Hybrid in 10th, Wigan 11th. His difficult season unfortunately continues on in qualifying here, with Darren in 12th, Wilco in 13th, and Kit in last and 14th place. A couple of attempts behind that top 10. Only 2 attempts up though to points paying position. So then, Squidge 2017, 0.167 seconds ahead of Ondrzejczyk in P2. Tess in third, followed by Djokovic in fourth, and Iwat in fifth. That's a brilliant qualifying effort from the second Red Bull there as well. JMR and the McLaren is in sixth. McLaren desperately needing a good points haul here today as well, with Samo in the V-Cab in seventh, Alpaca in the Haas in eighth. 9th is Matty and 10th is Hybrid. Keep in mind Ferrari wouldn't be scoring any points with a points finish here for Hybrid. It would simply go to the Drivers' Championship. Alright then, so we're going to be going to a couple of minutes worth of a break before we get this Portuguese Grand Prix underway. It's 33 laps of racing action coming up in a couple of minutes time, so don't go anywhere, stay tuned. We'll be right back with more coverage of this Grand Prix. Stay tuned, we'll be right back. Alright then everyone, we are back for full race coverage of the Portuguese Grand Prix here in NEF1 for round 13 of the Season 9 Championship. We're still a bit away from race start, But what a race we are poised to have. Let's see if we can have a go through the tyre strategy at the moment. Everyone's seemingly going for the soft tyre apart from Wigan, the outlier, starting on the mediums. I would suspect then that means a two-stop race, but I'm not quite sure. Tyre wear should be a bit heavier around this place, but obviously I'm not a driver anymore. I'm not quite positive. So, and I can confirm that the ready up has been given as well, so we'll be racing in about 30 seconds time for the formation lap of the Portuguese Grand Prix. Squidge is on pole with Undercheck in P2, Tess in third, Djokovic in fourth, and Iwat with a brilliant lap saw him in P5 up the order. Gotten a comment from Matty as well, comparing the feeling of that Aston Martin, currently sitting in 9th place as well. He's been comparing the feeling of that car to the 2014 Ferrari, the Formula 1 car that famously understeered and oversteered at the same time. So he's not going to be enjoying himself throughout this race, you would suspect, unless that magically sorts itself out on a heavier fuel load. If it does, I'm not quite positive, but it would be quite interesting having it up there. As said, the scene of his first NEF1 win on a pad nonetheless back in Season 1. I don't think it's going to be the scene of another Matty Adam victory, but we'll wait and see. Can definitely surprise us every now and again, can Matty. But it's a very competitive field he has to get by. Squidge, proven race winner. Undercheck, a one-time NEF1 champion. Tess, a likely one-time NEF1 champion. Djokovic, the most successful driver in NEF1 history. A multiple-time Grand Prix winner in Iwat. Multiple-time Grand Prix winner in Jamar. A podium sitter in Samo. An Alpaca who seems really quick on her day as well when everything aligns for her. Haven't gotten those master results quite yet. But Matty, it's going to be difficult for him. I think a majority of the drivers now on the NEF1 grid have a win under their belt. Let me just count. So it's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Yes, we have a majority on the grid tonight with a win. As Recon's asking how come Squidge is in a murk, he had a connection issue at the beginning of the session which saw him kicked out, and when he joined, it just threw him straight in that Mercedes. He's going to be racing for Williams. He'll be competing for Williams. Visually, though, he'll be driving the Mercedes for tonight. So that's a bit of an explanation if you just joined in as to what has been going on. But we have an all-Williams front row, then, technically, of Squidge 2017 and Undercheck, as we see a Ferrari lined up on the 5th row on the grid. That'd be Hybrid, who's had a bit of an endeavour on the formation lap. And I think off we are for the start of this Grand Prix. Squidge in P1, Undercheck in P2, Tess in P3. It's 5 red lights and it's lights out and away we go. And Squidge gets an alright getaway. Much better than Undercheck, much better than Tess. And he is straight off into turn 1, which has seen a bit of carnage involving Squidge before. I think there was a McLaren and a Haas coming together slightly there. That would have been Alpaca and Jamar. But everyone coming through unscathed. And we're heading in to the first couple of corners now of racing. Squidge in P1, and by quite a margin as well after just the first corner. Djokovic, having gone past Tess, up into 3rd place. Iwat and Samo side by side heading into that corner as well. And Alpaca trying to make a move on Samo. Bamo for 6th place. Not going to happen. It is going to happen actually. And she pulls that off. Side by side still into what I believe is turn 9. Round the outside, is she going to be able to make that work? Turns into the inside, but surely she's going to have to give that up beforehand. Nah, she still sticks her nose in there. But Samo has the inside for the next corner, and that is going to be that little battle over and done with for the time being. But I'm sure we're going to see more of that throughout the Grand Prix. Jamar not having the best of starts, down 2 places. Wilco having an alright getaway, up 3 places from 13th to 10th. So that's a good getaway from the Aston Martin. Double points finish at the moment for Aston Martin. I don't know if that would be the first of the season. It could very well be. As here we go then, Alpaca and Samo still running very, very close together. Squidge sets a fast lap at the Grand Prix. 7 tenths ahead now of teammate Undercheck. And he's just going to want to build that gap up to above that second. Alpaca getting passed by Jamar now. Round the outside, trying. Jamar aggressively pushing her towards the outside there. A bit of Rubbings racing, but I have a feeling that might be investigated after the race. I don't know for what, but it's quite heavy contact heading into turn 1. As to what actually happened, I did not see. Sure, both drivers are going to want to have a look at that one after the race for sure, as we have yellow flags in sector 1. That is Hybrid, who's had an issue coming around the hairpin. Iwatts running in 5th with Tess in 4th, Djokovic in 3rd, Ondrejek in 2nd, Squidge in 1st. But Iwatts doing everything he had to on that race start, and now covering his teammate off in 5th from any pressure from behind. And he's running in an uncontested P5 at the moment as well. Samo a full second behind. So it's been a very clean getaway from the top 5. Only position change is test down plates on Djokovic, because he's going to be able to make that position back here. As Squidge now has brought that gap up to 1 full second. That would be massive for him. Doesn't really want to leave his teammate hanging back there though. But we'll see if Djokovic starts getting a bit punchy. Ideally, he'd want to drag Ondrejek with him out of that DRS zone. But he'll bring Djokovic and Tess into the equation if he does. Tess is actually struggling at the moment to keep with Djokovic. That gap has been sitting at about a second over the course of the last 2 sectors. So he's hard pressed to keep up with leaders. If he loses that, it'll be difficult for him to get back in a couple of laps. We'll see how that all ensues. As here is Jamar on Samo. He's going to have a go into the first corner for sure. Samo not with any defensive DRS at the moment on Iwatts, and he's not going to be getting that this lap. Now then, Jamar probably poised for quite an easy overtake on Samo Bamo here. Would imagine so. Here we go then, DRS open, but the slipstream is not massive around this place. Overtaking could be difficult here. Okay, that's an indicator that I didn't think was going to happen. And Jamar doesn't make up really any ground on Sam on that occasion. Matty, though, is now very much on the back of Jamar. Alpaca sticks her nose down the inside. It's never going to make that work. Matty just aware enough to make sure it doesn't end in any severe contact. Oh, there's a bit argy-bargy at the moment with Matty and Alpaca. Alpaca may be looking down the inside aggressively. At the moment, it's Alpaca trying to make up place as Matty's going to be a bit distracted by that, dropping back in his pursuit of Jamar right now. Djokovic now quite close to the back of Ondrejek, who seems to have had some sort of issue, and now is Djokovic going to send it down the inside? Yes, he is! Down the inside into the penultimate corner, or into the a few penultimate corners, and it's contact with Ondrejek and Djokovic. Djokovic into the infield. Oh, and continues on. Maybe a bit of a dangerous rejoin there. Thankfully ghosting. Something went on there between Ondrejek and Djokovic, and now that is actually cleared. The two Williams boys out front. Test now 1.7 seconds behind the leaders. Is Ondrejek going to be put into investigation after that? Was it a racing incident? Is not a corner we necessarily go into battle with. Djokovic having lost out severely due to that. P8 now is the Alpine man. Behind Matty, crucially enough for Matty Adam. He'll be happy with that little incident, as there's a problem with Alpaca, Mr. Wilco and Djokovic heading through that corner. And what went on there? I'm sure that'll be investigated after the race, as well as Squidge has dropped the position now on Ondrejek. That came out of nowhere, not into a DRS zone. Did Squidge maybe just lose the rear a little bit? These two need to focus right now on getting away or keeping away from Test. The gap's 2 seconds out front, and then these two can settle who wants this victory the most. But right now, just need to work together to get away. Jamar, 7 tenths behind Iwatts. It's all kicking off on lap 5 here. 3 second time penalty to Alpaca for multiple track limit warnings. She's now down in 10th, with Wilco down in last after that bit of an incident. Lap 5 out of 33 on a predicted one-stop race as well, not a two-stop as I was predicting a bit earlier. See what goes on. JV8 saying a JMAR podium incoming, or a Go-to-Maslodium pending. This is the way those two speak to each other. Squidge back into the lead of the Grand Prix event. Now these two 2.5 seconds ahead of Tess, and that chance at a win for Tess is rapidly running away. Is it going to be another one for Squidge? Is it going to be one for Undercheck? There's still a long way to go in this Grand Prix. Don't rule out the chance of a safety car, something to neutralize this race and flip it on its head. We're only a couple of laps into it. Samo van on the back of Matty, now running in P6, and again Matty just finds himself alive with race pace. He's legitimately challenging Jamar and Iwatts as a consequence of that as well. That'd be up to P4, and if he can hunt down Iwatts, is Tess maybe within shout as well? He's not really showing in a strong pace at the moment. He's running about the same pace as Iwatts, maybe just slightly quicker. If Matty can pull those overtakes off, could he genuinely have a shot at the podium here after starting from 9th? Needs to sort his qualifying out, Matt, if that's the case, because the race pace is definitely there. It's turning Lewis Hamilton-esque. As here goes Undercheck by Squidge, and the two, I don't know if they're just slipstreaming off each other to get away even further. The gap is now 3 seconds. They're pulling away every single lap. Keep in mind, split strategies between these two as well. Undercheck on the medium, Squidge on the softs. That is going to play a part come the end of the race, and that's a problem for Iwatts as he just suffers from gradual traction loss coming through that uphill left-hander, and now he's got to be watching behind him because Matty's right there trying to take advantage as well. He's taking advantage of Jamar. He would have wanted to get past Iwatts maybe for a double overtake into that move as well, but Matty's not one to go for a move like that unless he's absolutely certain he can pull it off. But Iwatts is struggling out of traction zones. Matty has come alive this Grand Prix, and he is going incredibly fast right now, and he's making up places every single lap. If he can keep within this pace, I think Tess has started to be concerned before too long. Djokovic is at the back of this train. It's a 5-car train. Iwatts, Matty, Jamar, Samo, and Djokovic. Wigan not too far behind. Djokovic not really making the same progress as Matty is at the moment. As we have the Red Bull of Iwatts coming into the pits early, lap 8 out of 33 into the pit lane on those soft tyres. The new front wing for the Red Bull? No, just a change of tyres. So something was wrong with those set of softs to make him go off them that early. Oh, and that's a problem for Samo. Bamo hasn't been caused by contact, I don't know, but he spun on the infield. Now got to be safe on that rejoin into turn 1, and that is going to compromise his race by a lot, let me tell you that. Matty now, undisputed P4, 2.3 seconds behind Tess. Can he start hunting down the championship leader for that podium place? And do the leaders got to be aware of Matty's pace around here? In race trim, that Aston Martin seemingly quite strong. 2.1 seconds now the gap. Let's keep an eye on it over the next lap or two. Problem for Tess as well. He could be bringing Jamar into the equation here if he's not careful as well. Yellow flags in Sector 2. Is that another problem for Djokovic, who's not having a good race at all? Yes, it is. Djokovic now sitting in 10th. Wigan is sitting in 6th. Alpaca up in 7th. Kid up into 8th. So this is a race of attrition at the moment. Just keep it incident-free right now, and you will be gaining quite a bit of it. The two leaders are pulling away from Tess by about half a second per lap right now. Gap is 4 seconds, and it's not often they see someone outpaced like that at the front. Keep in mind though, Tess is on those medium tyres as well. He'll be on better rubber for the end of the race. Matty using up that rubber now to catch Tess. There should be by that switch that switch point now for the tyres. Matty's softs should be worse than those mediums on Tescani. Still gaining time on as Tess just not looking confident on the braking. Matty taking another 1/10 of a second just off that corner alone. For a brief moment, that is, because quickly regaining that time. As here we go then, Wigan 71 is lining up a move on Alpaca, you would imagine, into turn 1. How much battery do they have to play with, and how hard is Alpaca going to fight this one? 3-second time penalty to be added on at the back of her race. Coming out of the last corner then, Wigan v Alpaca. DRS wide open, not close enough to start thinking about a move as of yet. Just itching closer and closer. Sam Obama, 10-second time penalty for speeding in the pit lane. It's been a while since we found that penalty on the penalty list in the NEF1 Grand Prix. Rearing its ugly head yet again then. That's just a silly penalty to get under pressure. Just trying to push it a bit too close and having your entire race ruined because a 10-second time penalty. Well, number 1 is not getting removed. Number 2 is going to absolutely annihilate any chance of a good result, especially if you have a safety car late on and you can't get rid of it in pit lane. That is. If you do have a safety car, absolutely get rid of that penalty. As Dominic Gokart is saying, has Matty found something with his setup, or was he sandbagging for the jokes? I think the thing with Matty's car, that car seemingly probably set up for race trim, working better under a bit of a higher fuel load, or just finding more confidence in a race situation. I was like that when I was racing, but partly in NEF1, but league racing in general. I just couldn't hook up a qualifying lap for the life of me. As soon as I got into race trim, it was just something different entirely. You just pulled off safe moves and started improving up the field by lap, basically. So it's a big difference delivering in qualifying and delivering in the races. But he's not able to shake Jamar, who's right on his tail. The two leaders now haven't shaken Tess by 6 seconds. So it's a 2-horse race for the win here. We're third into this Grand Prix now. So a decent chunk of the way in, but still a long way to go. Between the Alpine boys, this is going to be interesting. Wigan and Djokovic. Djokovic involved in a fight for P3 in the standings right now. He's not going to want to give that up in a heartbeat. Wigan seemingly the better of the two Alpine in race trim. Djokovic quick over a lap, but can't hook those up consistently. Just a small mistake here and there, just costing him a bit of time. Now, let's see, 5.3 seconds of gap now. See how quick he closes in as his teammate. As Matty's progress towards Tess has halted somewhat, 11 lap old soft tyres versus 11 lap old mediums. That's going to be showing its head now. 1.9 seconds, it's sitting at about that for the last 2 laps. Watts, is he going to get a massive undercut effect is my question when these guys pit. Be interested to see that as well. Right now he has a 35-second gap to the leaders. He's not catching those leaders by any amount, but who is he catching on the grid? Wait and see. It's a lot of waiting and seeing right now, especially with the strategy situation being the way it is. So who'll be first to make their pit stop? I would imagine Tess is going to be quite early, and Matty should be in within the next 2 laps, realistically, for what I think would be a set of medium tyres to maybe try to undercut Tess as well. Try to get that track position. Overtaking here has proved difficult so far. Matty should be going for an undercut quite soon. Might even be doing it now. Yeah, Matty's coming in. Oh, and that is race over, unfortunately, for Matty Adam, as he gets a 10-second time penalty for not slowing down. Oh, Matty, why do you do this when you have such good race pace? You go and ruin it by pushing it into the pit lane. Oh, and that is devastating for Matty Adams 16 there. 10-second time penalty to be added on at the end of his race. Unless we have a safety car, he's got to be 7 that in pit lane if that's the case. Now Jamar right behind him. He's going to be incredibly frustrated now if he has to sit behind that Aston Martin with that time penalty, who's now going to be thinking about this race very, very strategically. Matty Adam screaming that it went green. From my POV, it looked very, very aggressive and very, very fast into the pit lane. And did not look under control. I'm not surprised Matty got a drive-through penalty there, or not a drive-through, 10-second time penalty from the way it looked. But obviously he'll have had a completely different POV of that thing as well. Keep in mind that is a penalty that we can review as well, but it's never ever been overturned. As Squidge now is into the pit lane for his one pit stop of this Grand Prix. New set of medium tyres on that Mercedes. Let's see where he comes out. If he comes in a bit of fresh air, that's going to be very, very good for him. Needs to get out ahead of that. Sauber doesn't do so. Has to tuck in behind Darren's style. Now Vo's got to choose an opportune moment to catch up to him and pass him quite quickly. Don't think Darren's going to put up too much of a resistance. Dominic saying Matty just wants a big challenge for a more interesting race. I can, from knowing the man for about 5 years now, I can tell you that Matt is going to be incredibly angry with that penalty. And is going to be angry for a good couple of days at that penalty now. I don't think he wants any challenge, realistically. I think Matty quite enjoyed himself back in Season 2 when he was winning 7 races in a row and winning the championship. I don't think anyone, realistically, who has been at that very, very top level winning races necessarily want that massive challenge. I know Matty for sure welcomes it, but if he had an opportunity to absolutely dominate the league again for a season, he'd go for it. So here we go then. Squidge gonna try to get past Darren. Style probably just off the exit of this final corner then. As Darren pulls into the pit lane, unleashing Squidge now to go after Kit W41, who's running a fault-free race so far, but 6 seconds worth of time penalties could come back to bite him at the end of this. Oh, and that car is looking slippy as well. So an Alpaca currently sitting in 3rd, yet to have made her stop. Wiggin sitting in 4th, yet to have made his. Djokovic is catching Wiggin by about 2 tenths per lap, maybe even 1 tenth per lap, so it's not quick progress for that Alpine. The question is, do they swap at the end of the race? Just to bring a couple of extra points home to Djokovic. It wouldn't be the first time those two have swapped at the end of a race. We'll wait and see. JMR 9th, Hybrid in 10th right now. These are all going to change quite soon. Let's get that pit stop graph up. The top 6 yet to make their pit stops as well as Hybrid. Everyone else having been in. Squidge, then de facto, is going to be leading this race due to an undercut. Now, gonna get quite a decent run on Kit, you would imagine. I don't think Kit's gonna be fighting this one too hard, surely. Not really his battle. He's free to fight it, but doesn't really make any sense to slow yourself down. And Squidge thanks him for his troubles and promptly runs away. Now, 5 seconds to Djokovic. That is going to give us a very good indication of how good those mediums are. And he's 4 tenths up in that first sector alone. And Undercheck might have to think soon about switching up his strategy a little bit, because the undercut might be incredibly powerful here. wait and see. Obviously, Undercheck is going to be on those softs at Vienna and will be able to make good use of those. They fell away very quickly for Iwatts, who's never really recovered by the look of it. Even after going on those hards. Didn't really work out the way he would have hoped, and is now quite convincingly behind Jamar on track as well. That's a battle he was very much involved in a moment ago, and is actually leading. That's gone horribly wrong, and oh my god, Wigan 10-second time penalty for speeding in the pit lane and half. This is going to be Rich coming from the commentator, but how hard can it be slowing down to get into the pit lane correctly? Let's see even Undercheck and Tess if they can get into the pit lane without screwing anything up. Djokovic as well then on Alpaca. Yet to make their pit stops now. Undercheck is just going along as he would in P1. 10.1 seconds now ahead of Tess, and this is something we very, very rarely see. I don't think we're going to see it again this season. Tess is just thoroughly outpaced around this Portuguese Grand Prix circuit. In race trim, he was very much there in qualifying, just not working for him in race trim whatsoever. So the question is, once Ondrejek comes in to make his pit stop in the next 2-3 laps probably, where is he coming out in comparison to Squidge? Right now this is Squidge's race to lose. As Kokos Björn is in chat again cheering on Darren Stahl. Hello buddy, it's been a while, how you doing? Hopefully you're doing very, very well. Darren at the moment sitting in 13th, not having a really good race. Mr. Wilco had a very, very decent start to the race, then something happened, an incident with I believe it was Samo and Alpaca back in about lap 5, I want to say, as Kit gets another freezing time penalty. And these are the things that really hurt Kit. The pace is there every now and again to pick up a lone point or two, but mistakes like that is just going to cost him. And it's going to cost him quite severely in a league where those types of penalties doesn't get dished out too often anymore. Can confirm Squidge is closing in the gap on his teammate. Now his teammate, if you're just joining, should be mentioned, is Ondrejek. Squidge was kicked out of the lobby earlier on, had to rejoin, and it threw him into the Mercedes. He should be racing into the Williams. Jay saying the braking line into the pit entry is miles too late. So that could be what triggers those 10-second time penalties. That's a bit of a cheat information for everyone who's not been in the lane yet. But this is gonna shake up this race, those 10-second time penalties, quite severely. Could we have a surprise podium here? We'll wait and see how Tess deals with that second stint, because he's not really enjoying his last couple of laps on these mediums right now. He's dropping by a second, half a second per lap, something like that on check. Dropped 8 temps in the first sector alone on his previous best. On tyres that have done quite a lot of mileage, to be added. His hybrid's now running into the points paying positions. I don't think he's made his pit stop, has he? No, he's not. So he'll be coming out plumb last once he does. Unless he's just waiting for a virtual safety car or a safety car on lap 19 out of 33. No signs of anything quite yet. So Ondrejek, I think it's time to start thinking about that pit stop quite soon, but his Squidge is going to get a massive undercut. Ondrejek staying out for yet another lap. So his tyres are going to be incredibly fresh for the entirety of this race. Is Squidge now just pacing himself, keeping those mediums in a good operating window? Matty now getting past Kit as well for P7, but he's let Jamar go now. But I can only imagine from Matty's reaction, he's going to want that penalty investigated after the race. And should be added, it is a penalty that can be investigated if something has indeed gone wrong with the game. Right, here we go. Djokovic into the pit lane then. And how long is this pit lane? Takes a good while to get out of here. He comes out outside the points in 11th. 12th now, even behind his teammate. But now on a fresh set of soft tyres, that is going to bring him a lot more grip. Squidge now though, only 7 seconds behind Tess on track, a full pit stop ahead. Surely it's time for Undercheck quite soon, staying at yet another lap. Lap 21 out of 33, and still on that old worn down set of medium tyres. And what is Undercheck cooking? He's going to have to go on a massive run here if he wants to have a go at this win. Or is he content with just covering this off, maybe waiting for a safety car to take the lead? Or is he content just sitting behind for an easy 1-2 for Williams here? Because they desperately need the points right now. If they could bring that result home, probably in the lead of the Constructors' standings. Well, definitely in the lead of the Constructors' standings with the way Iwat's race has panned out after his, I'm gonna say poor first stint, because it wasn't. He had a difficult lap or two on those soft tyres, and it just really set him back, and a lot. He had a magnificent qualifying, but those softs just really did not work for him in the Grand Prix. Maybe a bit too aggressive on the setup, maybe a bit too aggressive on the tyre wear. Just didn't work out for him one bit, those soft tyres. And now he's not being helped by the hard tyres with significantly less grip as Djokovic just flies down his inside with those aforementioned soft tyres. There's not much I was going to be able to do about that particular move. As here we go, Undercheck does come into pit on lap 22 out of 33. It's incredibly late. You would imagine then it's soft tyres on for the Williams man who won his last race in NEF1, the Austrian Grand Prix, and how much of an advantage is Squidge going to have now on the mediums? Quite a few seconds, but not a massive advantage, but it's going to be difficult for Undercheck to bring that in nonetheless. In 10 laps, we'll wait and see if he does. Or is he just going to be covering that off maybe with the fastest lap point as well? Djokovic now with that fastest lap point, 118.216. Tess, having been in now as well, is sitting behind Jamar. He's going to have to make that move. Jamar could very well finish on the podium here. I don't know if that'll be his first podium of the season, but well, could be. Forgive me if I'm wrong, Jamar, buddy. So Tess now has a lot of ground to make up in just 10 laps. Is he going to be able to do that? It's going to be difficult, but he has a shot with that very, very good rubber. He's got to clear Matty quickly. Matty will, I'm sure, be racing for position because he's going to try to get that penalty removed somehow. Believes so screen, he believes that's a case. So, Tess is not going to be getting any favours out from anyone here. Matt is not going to be one to give Tess, who's a direct rival as well, any help as well. And he's going to want a car in between him and Djokovic to just extend that gap in the Drivers' Championship just a little bit. Undercheck now, 3 full seconds behind Squidge, but he is closing in. He's actually closing in rapidly on that soft tire, so it might not have been a bad choice from Undercheck to just wait that long, wait for the mediums of Squidge to just wear down a little bit. Is this gonna get competitive between the two Williams boys? Undercheck is a one-time NEF1 champion. He did not become so by being nice to his teammates. The man holds the record for the most wins in NEF1 history. Truthfully, I can't ever see that record getting beaten. But now, this is going to be interesting. What order are these two going to finish in? Because we are looking at a Williams 1-2. Well, let's say a Merc Williams 1-2, but a Williams 1-2 nonetheless. The gap that was 2.2 seconds ago, almost 3 seconds ago. Yeah, Undercheck is actually bringing that gap in. by 1.7 seconds per lap. Fastest lap of the race goes to Undertech as well, as 17.843, and he absolutely depleted his battery on that lap. But Jesus Christ, the gap that was 3 seconds a lap ago is now 1 second. So, Squidge and Ondrzej now. This is going to be interesting to watch. Don't think Ondrzej would be positioning his car this close to Squidge unless he was thinking about that race win. So I do think it's going to get competitive between these two teammates in just a moment. Ondrzej here, half a second behind Squidge. What I thought was a horrendously bad strategy from Ondrzej a couple of laps ago turned into be a brilliant one in just one lap, catching over 2 seconds in that one lap. And now we might get the overtake for the lead of the Grand Prix. Squidge now, is it going to go defensive, or is Ondrzej just going to breeze past him on the straight? We'll wait and see, but he's gaining. To the inside into turn 1. Takes the lead of the Grand Prix away from Squidge 2017. Squidge tries to fight it down the inside. Gloves off between the two teammates. Ondrzej takes the lead of the Portuguese Grand Prix away from Squidge. Jamar is sitting in third still, but a race that Squidge so desperately needs to win now that Tess is in 5th as well. And Ondrzej might be saying no to that. We'll see now if Ondrzej pulls away or what goes on here. We have 7 laps remaining of the Portuguese Grand Prix, and we have an issue for a RB of Samo Bamo going through turn 3 as well. It's not the first time he's had an issue going through that kit with a 3-second time penalty. With these penalties, is going to be a near impossibility for him now to finish in the points. Djokovic now is on the very back of Tess for that final place within the top 5. Keep in mind, Matty has that 10-second time penalty to contend with. As we're coming up to the end of this Grand Prix relatively quickly on, hopefully you have enjoyed it. It's been a good race, to be fair. Not too much side-by-side action, but still thrilling. Everything... There's been stuff going on each and every lap for sure. A lot more midfield battles than what there have been previously. Not too many DRS trains across this track, but everyone's very, very spread out as well. Here we go, Van Iwat's on Wigan. These two have gone into battle a couple of times previously, and now is Iwat's going to have a go into turn 1? No, does not do so. Probably could have pulled off a move into turn 1 there if he wanted to, but just playing a bit safer, maybe just waiting that one out. Would imagine maybe into the hairpin. Superior grip out of the corner perhaps. See if he launches it down inside. Nah, stays behind him. That battle's going to be ongoing for a bit of time. Ondrzej now, 1.2 seconds the gap, 1.4 seconds to Squidge, who I don't think he's going to be given this win by his teammate. And that's going to be a bit of a gut punch to Squidge. But maybe, just maybe, it's that championship battle over regardless. He's going to bring in the points advantage regardless of Squidge this race, as long as he keeps it on track now. But does Ondrzej think, nah, I'm in it for me now. And I still have a shot, maybe even at the top 3. All drivers right now as well positioning their status heading in to season 10, which is going to be hopefully the best and biggest season of NEF1 to date. We're going to make sure it is an absolute spectacle, hopefully. So all the drivers are just about to start getting prepared for it. The sign-ups will open relatively soon for it, so if you are watching and fancy getting involved in NEF1, there's a link down below into the Twitch in the Twitch channel, where you can get straight into the NEF1 recruitment Discord channel to apply for a seat, either for this season or for next season, NEF1 25. This will be the last season, NEF1 24, that we run. Last proper season, should be said. So here we go, Van Onderjeg now leading this race by 2.5 seconds. Jamar is sitting a very, very solid third right now. 3 seconds the gap to Djokovic, who is closing it, but he's got to close up by 3 seconds and then get by that McLaren as well, which is not going to be the easiest task in the world, with Tess and Matty right behind him as well. Iwat's now doing everything he can to get by Samo Bamo. That is probably as high as he's going to get this race. 8th place might be the ceiling unless those time penalties of Matty, Adam and Alpaca prove to be absolutely massive. You can actually bring those up on your screen now. The 13th second for Samo Bamo to see him out of the points probably, along with Wigan. It's difficult to calculate this, especially since we don't know what will stand at the end of this race. Djokovic now 2.2 seconds behind Jamar. The battle for the podium is not over. It's gonna come down to the last 2 laps by this pace. So is it going to be Jamar or is it going to be Djokovic on the final step of that podium? Matty's going to be praying to God that it's Jamar right now. Meanwhile, Samo and Iwat, who have been in a, well, not a championship battle with him, but a battle in the standings with him, would be hoping that Djokovic can pull that move off to minimize the damage by Jamar's absolutely incredible drive tonight. Should not be understated. What a drive this has been for SFLY Jamar. Even if it does miss out on that podium, it's been absolutely spectacular. A driver of the day performance probably, especially if he can cap it off with a 3rd place finish. But then we have 3 laps to go and 1.2 seconds separating Jamar and Djokovic. Overtaking has not been easy around this place. How prepared is Jamar going to be in the fence when Djokovic does come up to him? Djokovic, should be said, has had a really difficult race as well. With no safety cars, he's clawed his way back up into contention after the incredibly difficult start to the race he had. Basically spun out, I think it was in lap 5 or a bit later, and it was battling likes of Wigan, Iwat and Samo not too long ago. Now he's well clear of them and just behind Jamar in 3rd place. He's now within touching distance, and the DRS will be enabled on the next run down to the first corner, and this is going to get spicy. Matty Adams still in the back of Tess trying to fight that one. Iwat's probably now just content with sitting behind Samo, grabbing that position of penalties. Darren feeling that, okay, I'm going to get a couple of points handed to me on penalties here as well. I'm not going to be too bothered by this. So this is the battle we'll be keeping our eyes on. Djokovic for yet another podium in NEF1, or Jamar for what I think is his first podium of the season. Samo's had a problem going through Sector 2, which will definitely see him out of the points for this race. He's now sitting in 12th. Here comes Djokovic on Jamar. The first attack into turn 1. Not going to be able to make that work. The second attack is going to come in just a couple of corners time after the second DRS zone. That's where I think Jamar is going to have to watch his back the most. Can Djokovic get a better exit on those soft tyres? Jamar's got to position himself wide towards the inside there, late on the brakes. Here we go, Jamar versus Djokovic for the first time round. Jamar gives him quite a bit of room, and Djokovic goes by the McLaren. Now Jamar's going to have 2 laps to fight this one if he can stay within touching distance of that Alpine. But that was a nice move from Djokovic. Jamar maybe just left the door slightly too open on the hairpin, but it's a wide corner. It's hard to position your car in a way where it's very, very hard to get by there. That's a good move from Djokovic, and he's up into a podium place. Tess has a massive issue as well. I don't know what has gone on there, but that is everything he did not need. Now, has to come on back to the circuit carefully. Oh, but that is a massive issue for Tess. That's going to see an even bigger loss of points. Now down into 7th. Squidge is going to be screaming at Ondřejk, please give me these 25 points. Tess is down in 7th. It's a massive loss for Red Bull in the constructors standings. Tess comes into the pit lane as well, probably without a front wing, which is going to see him. Is Tess going to finish out of the points here? New tyres on for Tess. This is going to see him down in 11th. Watts gets a free second time penalty for multiple track limit warnings. Tess is now outside the points. And this is one where it is so difficult, because for the championship, I would love for Squidge to be given this win to just close up that gap as much as he possibly could. I don't think Ondřejk will be too concerned with that though, unfortunately. Final lap of the Grand Prix. Here we go. Ondřejk from Squidge from Djokovic. Is Jamar going to be able to mount an offensive? Maybe here. This is going to be his last go at it, but he is quite far behind. He's got to close up a lot on this opening straight. And he is closing maybe enough to start thinking about a move, as Ondřejk now is slowing down. Is he letting Squidge go here? He is, and that is a massive, massive move from Ondřejk, to be fair, letting Squidge go, and it's going to be a big point swing, and that's why you've got to rely on your teammate. That's a class move from Ondřejk. It's a bit Lando Norris-esque that from Ondřejk, showing I absolutely can win this race, because he had absolutely gapped him by over 5 seconds. But for the championship swing, Ondřejk sacrifices that win. Squidge will be coming home in first place around Portugal. It might be a maximum point swing this race, because Tess is down in 12th. He's going to gain a couple of places on penalties after the end of this last lap. But it's going to be a frustrating evening for the championship leader. It's a long way to go still, but the road has been getting a bit easier. Squidge back into winning ways with a bit of help from his teammate, but it's a solid 1-2 for Williams. Squidge's first win in a long time is going to give him a bit of confidence as well. Ondřejk's in P2, Djokovic is third, Jamar just finishing behind in fourth, but it's a driver of the day performance from Jamar, sees him up into 4th place. Could have been 3rd, maybe should have been 3rd. Commiserations to Jamar, but it's a brilliant race from him. Alpaca finishes this race in 5th, so it's a really, really strong performance and her best race result to date. Matty in 6th. Watts finishes a 7th place, good on him with Wigan. That turns into a Darren P7. Watts in 8th. Wigan in 9th, followed by Wilco. Wilco now in 9th. Wigan in 10th. That's going to turn into Kit in 12th place, with Tess in 11th and Hybrid in 13th. That turns into a Tess outside the points. It's a maximum point swing of 25 points for Squidge. Kit W41 outside the points, unfortunately. It is a tough race for a lot of these lads. It is a tough race for a lot of lads for sure. But that is going to be massive for Squidge, knowing now that he has his teammate behind him for the rest of this championship campaign. It is not over yet. We still have a lot of races to go. It's not over until the fat lady sings, as you should say. And this is going to be an enthralling last couple of races. Squidge 2017, man, with a maximum point swing of 25 points in the championship, which is fairly well earned after the night as well. As there you can see, Squidge wins this race on the check in P2, picking up the extra point for Williams to take a commanding lead now with that result in the constructor standings. Djokovic in third, followed by Jamer in fourth, Alpaca in fifth, Matty in sixth. That penalty might be getting removed from what I can tell. We'll wait and see. Darren Stahl in P7 after or ahead of Iwat in 8th. Wilco in 9th and Wigan picking up a point in 10th. Tess outside the points for the first time this season, I believe, in 11th, followed by Kit, Hybrid and Samo having a really rough go at it in 14th and last. But then that is going to be it for the European stage of this NEF1 season. It was briefly interrupted by the Mystery Grand Prix of Qatar 2 weeks ago now. Now we are heading in to the final couple of races. 5 races to go. Australia, Singapore, Qatar, Brazil, and the series finale in Bahrain. So 5 races to go here in the NEF1 season to decide the Season 9 champions. We'll be back in 1 week's time. Thank you so much for watching NEF1 yet again. It's been a pleasure giving you this broadcast. I'll see you again in a week's time. So thank you all for watching. We'll see you in 7 days' time for the Australian Grand Prix in NEF1. Until then, stay safe, have a good one, and peace out.